Okay, we're going live, folks, and we're about to call the meeting to order. Okay, we're just waiting for a minute here. We've got Philip and Cindy on Zoom. Yes, I don't believe Nikki is with us. She was not feeling well today. And I'm wearing a mask because I'm not feeling well, and I will try and read all the motions, but if I start coughing in the middle, Kathy will take over for me. So we'll call this meeting to order. By the way, tested for COVID? No, it was negative. The things we do nowadays before we leave the house. Okay, approval of the agenda. Have a motion moved by Tom Dewey, seconded by Bill McDonald, that the agenda for the regular council meeting held September the 27th, 2022 be approved as, are there amendments, Kathy?
Yes, just to let council know, there's no additions to the agenda, just so that you will be aware, the resolution for MAD message yearbook and the K9 companions has been changed from what is in your agenda package. I've made it a little bit clearer in regards to those two organizations. Okay.
And that was brought up last meeting and deferred, I believe.
Yes, it was, but council can make the decision because it's under the $50,000 threshold for lame ducks. Okay.
Okay. All right. So as amended, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof of any item in tonight's agenda by any member of council or anyone on Zoom or the call? Seeing none, we'll note that in the minutes. I have a motion. Moved by, who's that? Sherry? Oh, moved by Sherry Wan and seconded by Tom Dewey, that the minutes of the regular meeting held September the 13th, 2022, and the special meeting held September the 20th be approved as presented. Any discussion on the minutes? Victor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One correction for the minutes on September 20th. Apparently, Bill McDonald wasn't there, but later on in the minutes, he talked a lot, even though he wasn't here.
Okay. Okay, so as amended, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Mayor's remarks. I'm not going to make any tonight, except to say that at 7 o'clock tonight is our Olden All Candidates meeting, and Victor will be there along with two other folks that are running. I won't be able to be there tonight, but please pass along my wishes to everyone, and Jeff included. Okay, next we have deferred items, and this is the MAD message yearbook and the K9 companions. Moved by Bill McDonald, seconded by Tom Dewey. Whereas a request has been received from MAD message yearbook for support, and whereas council has supported MAD by placing an ad in their yearbook in 2018 and 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that council support the request with a business size advertisement in MAD message yearbook at a cost of $299 plus HST, and further that staff bring forth a donation policy for council to consider what organizations to support. Discussion. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Philip and Cindy, if I don't see your hands or you have want to vote no, please just chime in, okay? Okay. Next is moved by Tom Dewey, seconded by Bill McDonald. Whereas council has received a request from Courageous Canines for support, and whereas Courageous Canine Companions is an extraordinary organization which provides certified service dogs to military veterans and first responders who suffer with physical and psychological injuries as a result of their service. And whereas council supported Courageous Canine by placing a business card in their publication Courageous Companions in 2021. Now therefore be it resolved that council agree to support Courageous Canine with a business card advertisement at a cost of $295 plus HST. And further that staff bring forth a donation policy for council to consider what organizations to support. Discussion on that one. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Sorry. What was the question? I asked them to.
Yes.
But I asked them to say no if they're voting against. Next, we have financial treasury. Moved by Bill McDonald, seconded by Tom Dewey, that council approve the check distribution reports totaling $1,400,496.84 as prepared by the treasurer. Any questions for Michael? Seeing no questions. Any questions from Philip or Cindy? All those in favor?
That would be no, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Motion's carried.
Motion moved by Tom Dewey and second by Sherry Wan. That council approve the following apportionments of assessment as recommended by MPAC for 2022 as applicable for the following roll numbers. I'm not going to read them all, same as what the mayor does. They're all in the same as in the report. All those in favor? Carried.
Thanks, Michael. Sorry.
Okay. Have a motion moved by Sherry Wan and second by Bill McDonald. Whereas Employment and Social Development Canada, ESDC, is providing funding through their Enabling Access Fund, which is also EAF, for projects that make communities and workplaces more accessible for persons with disabilities. And whereas the Enabling Access Fund will provide 80% of the funding up to a maximum of $10,412.44. And whereas applications are being accepted between September the 7th and November the 1st of 2022 for flat rate funding for small accessibility projects on a first come, first served approach. And whereas the building assessment report identified the main entry door at Piccadilly Hall as non-compliant with accessibility requirements. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve the recommendation of the Manager of Development Services, CBO, to apply for funding for an accessible door for the entrance to Piccadilly Hall. Any questions?
Questions or comments? Brent and then Bill?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Great idea. We had obviously use of the hall not that long ago, and the door was a little tricky, and I can imagine people with accessibility issues having difficulties with it. Not related specifically to the door, but to Pick Hall. We have an old sign that predates amalgamation. I believe it almost predates me sitting above that door. And I'm just wondering at some point in time, would we look at replacing that with a modern one that's branded as Central Frontenac Township? Improves the curb appeal and I think is more reflective of where we are right now. That sign has got to be at least 50 years old. So I don't know how much it would cost to replace it, but once we've done the door, I'm wondering if we could look at replacing that sign above the door.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron. Yes, we can definitely look at that. We can include it in next year's budget to look after the sign.
Okay. Bill?
Madam Mayor, to Andy, in regard to this, I think it's a good idea too, anything we can prove Do we have any time frame and when this project has to be completed, or does it go past the end of the calendar year? Thank you.
We've got 24 months to complete the project. So,
Any other questions or comments? Tom,
Course, I have a question, but it's not related to this report, so don't me to,
you can save it then?
I'll save it till after.
Okay. All right, all those in favor of the motion as read. Motion's carried. Okay, ask your question now because we're moving on to Public Works after this.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to ask Andy, with the all candidates meeting coming up October the 5th at Kennebec Hall. And I know you're working on the stairs right now too, Andy, but is there any provision for folks with some disabilities? Because you know what the stairs are like to get in there right now. Are we going to be able to accommodate those folks that have some mobility issues?
at this time, I'm gonna say not likely. I know they're gonna focus on trying to get the decks and the stairs completed before then. But I know they won't have time to complete the ramps.
That's too bad.
Any possibility at the back door of doing something there? If somebody, just in case somebody does come, I don't know whether that will happen, but any possibility of having some kind of a temporary thing put in there at the back door?
We have rented portable ramps in the past. I could look into getting something like that for the back door.
Probably wouldn't hurt to look at that and see what that costs. Just to make sure that we accommodate as many people as possible in case they want to be there. Thank you, Andy.
Okay.
It is short notice. We may or may not be able to get something, but good
I'll
point.
see what I can do.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Okay, no other questions for Andy? All right, we'll move on to Public Works. Have a motion moved by Bill McDonald, seconded by Sherry Wan, that council receive the Public Works activity report as prepared by the Public Works Manager dated September 27th, 2022 for information. And we have Noah with us, and Tyson is on the Zoom call somewhere or the telephone. Questions or comments? Tom and then Bill.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll direct this to you and Tyson both, Noah. I wondering about the line painting. I know we're getting late in the season. I don't see any line painting over our way on the Arden Road, and even Stone Mills hasn't done their roads, and usually they're done at the same time. But what's the status on line painting right now?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey, that would be something I would have to ask Tyson or Steve, our road super, on the status of the line painting. I'm not quite sure where it's at right now.
Okay. Steve, do you have an answer for that? Oh, okay. The end of September month? Yeah. Does the rain affect it?
And this year, sorry, Your Worship, can I just ask it?
Sure.
Will they be doing the whole road this year, last year, if you remember, on the Arden Road? Okay, that's a good thing, because then I won't get any complaints.
Okay. All right, Bill and then Brent.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, to know, the question I asked you earlier, but I think maybe everybody would be interested in the answer, is the question I asked is, are we going to do any brushing? And I know what the answer is, but I think other people might be interested because no one's been seeing any of that done this year, so that's why.
Okay,
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor McDonald. We are getting our wheeled excavator delivered this week, actually, so it'll have the brusher on it. And the plan is to get everybody trained this week and then brush for as long as we can for the rest of the year.
excellent, good. Brent.
Next.
October 5th.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Noah, I noticed in the report mentioned about the grading schedules and that they're not going to be submitted with the activity reports. And I understand that at this point, as you're starting to transition into snow removal, which will be coming soon enough. But I'm just wondering if there is a plan And I noticed that you're also saying that you're looking at it for efficiencies. So clearly you're reviewing what you gave us before and looking at maybe possibly a better format. So I'm just wondering, is this something that's going to be resumed at some particular point in time?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron, that'll be something Tyson and I will have to monitor, and going into next year, I think we can take another look at it and see if we're going to resume putting the grading schedules in with the activity reports, but for this year, we decided not to include them.
Okay. Okay. Sherry and then Philip.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to comment to the Public Works that I traveled recently on Crow Lake Road and it looks excellent. I haven't seen Wilson Road, but I just wanted to comment much better. And as well, I thank you for looking after the speed sign on Long Lake Road. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, good. Philip.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to ask about the Titchburn crossing and whether there was any warranty work that needed to be done as the.
Can't hear you, Philip.
Sorry?
Oh, we've lost volume.
Can you hear me now?
It's about the rough crossing at Titchburn. The
Correct.
dip in
Right.
the road. Try that again, Philip.
Yeah, I was asking about the crossing in Titchburn and whether there's any warranty work because the crossing seems to be at more of an incline than it was previously.
I agree. Going south, you literally go down in a dip and back out. So the question is there warranty work, or can we let them know that we don't think it's done well and have them come back and look at it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Smith, that'll be something Tyson and I can definitely address and bring up to the railway and see if they can come back out, take another look at it, and possibly if there's warranty work involved, then they can come back out and fix it possibly.
It's almost like they need to build up the south side of it, because when you go over the tracks, you literally go down and back up.
Yeah. So
it slows you down for sure, if that was the purpose.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Noah? Great. All right. I've read the motion. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you, Noah.
thank you.
Okay, now we're at fire services. Chris, I have a motion moved by Tom Dewey, seconded by Sherry Wan, that council received for information the CFFR and the CFBLE activity report dated September the 27th, 2022. And we have Chris and Jamie with us tonight. Welcome, fellows. Any questions or comments for these two? No questions or comments. All those in favor of the motion? Carried. And you have a presentation.
I do. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I'll try and make it as quick as possible with the complications of your cold. So we were intending to do this earlier in the summer, but obviously with the one meeting per month and everything else, the priorities, we put it off till now. So, but the timing's good because we did complete the CRA in the presentation last, so it sort of gives you an idea of what we identified for risks. And so this presentation is going to talk a bit about the certification. So it'll give you an idea when the fire master plan comes through of where the certifications, where it's required. So I'll start off with the next slide, please. Thanks. So there's the 9 disciplines here. These are the ones that are covered through the certification. I won't read them all. You've read it through the report, but it does give you an idea that there's a fairly large, discipline for the fire service to do for certification. Not all of these would apply necessarily to Central Frontenac, but with the larger departments it might. So next slide, please. So this flow chart shows you the decision making for the certification. So you see at the front, it's the exterior attack. When it goes up to the upper half of the page, it shows what you're doing with the exterior attack mode, which is the level 1 certification. It talks about the different disciplines that come with that. And it comes out with the team leader at the end and who can teach that. The lower half talks about the interior attack. So, and what is involved in that is when talking interior attack is the structures, so structure fires, or if you're doing an auto extrication, you have to take somebody out of a vehicle. That would be required in a level 2 status. So this is what is required for that on the NFPA level 2, and it goes through and it talks to NFPA 1021 is the officer for instructor and team lead indicator. So for IC as well. So it speaks to both sides. So with the level 1, you're only allowed to do exterior attack. With the level 2 certification, you're allowed to do interior attack for fire structures, and then for other rescues as well. So ice water, which I'll get into in water rescue. So right now we are currently operating at a level 2 operation. So that's why we're getting people through on the level 2. We've done the level 1. We completed that one, as I mentioned last, and now we're in the process of level 2. We're in our second weekend this weekend. Next slide, please. So the lead on the fire officer 1, which is something we're going to be looking at once we have our level 2s completed. All our senior officers and our captains are going to be at a level 1 status. That's my plan. So what that'll mean at incidents, they will be controlling the scene. They'll be the incident commander. So there are different levels that go up to level 4 for the NFPA 1021. We won't expect that the officers will have to go to that level of, we think that level 1 will be satisfactory. If they want to advance further, I will by any means, I'll let them do that. So in the Ontario seal, you'll see down below, there's additional certifications with AS&E. So that's the academic standards and education with the fire marshal's office. So this gets into a little more complicated, which we might go into in the future. We'll have to see. But at this point, we're looking at the fire officer 1 level for our guys right now. So then there's the fire inspection piece. The next slide, please. Sorry. Thank you. So the fire prevention module is there's 3 levels to that. The inspection level 1 is the basic level for inspections. So it's to conduct inspections and that's it. So the level 2, which is brought in by NFPA, is conducting fire and life safety inspections, including facilities that store flammable and combustible liquids. So it's a more advanced level. So that's sort of in the part 4 of the fire code. So that requires a little more knowledge and background and training. And then there's the level 3, which brings in another piece, which would be the incident command as well, and that piece. So this is another component. Currently, we don't have, except for myself. Jamie's taken some courses on it, I know as well. So we do have some base knowledge there to do inspections for hazardous materials right now. So we are prepared for that. Next slide, please. Pump operations. So pump operations are totally separate from the level 1 and level 2. If you are operating the pump, you do have to have the certification to that. We are working on that as well. You can also have the pump operations and not have the DZ licensing, but you can't drive the truck. So it doesn't make much sense for us up here in the rural areas not to be able to drive the truck. So they did put this in. This is the province that's put this in place. There are places I understand that that's the case, that somebody operates the pump, but they're not qualified to drive the truck. So, but that's what that's for. So we are going to have to put some people through the pump operations. And Jamie and I have already discussed, we've got people lined up for that. So next slide, please. So training officers. So with the training officer level 1 and 2, it's providing education to other personnel, obviously within your station. So in order to be able to complete this, you have to have your level 1 and 2. And before you can, it's a prerequisite to this. So with our crews doing the level 1 and 2, we're hoping that we can do some internal training and possibly S&E we'll have to set up our programs that they approve our training program, and then we can do it internally. We still want to use leads for some of our training, but we'd like to try and curb our expenses if we can. So far, I can tell you that our level 1 course
We were invoiced for 11 people. It was $14,000, and it's going to be and significant more for the next group for level 2 because we have some existing firefighters in. So I think we're up around 17, 18 people. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's going to be a significant. We did budget for it, by the way. So council did approve that. So I just want to let you know that. Communicator, we don't worry about. That's the dispatch. That would be Kingston that would look after that for us. We have no cost there. Life safety educators. So the fire life safety educator piece is another special module that I have. Oh, geez, sorry. I have that accreditation, but this is something that I think is going to be critical for us going forward. The reason I say that is because our area is so large that I think the pub ed component is going to be a big factor for us. To do smoke alarm program, to promote, to attend. I was at the association, the Kennebec Cottage Association. I want to get things going there, setting up tables, promoting public education and fire education to the people. And I think that's going to be a big push for us. And I think you'll see that in the fire master plan as well. So incident safety officer, that's something that we want to work towards. It's very difficult in daytime hours to get that many people that you can have somebody stand back and actually do incident safety. We are required to have that, but that's something that once we get a couple, 2 stations there, we might have someone we can free up to actually take that duty on. So we'll be looking into that. So the 1033 investigators course is another one that we should have in place. I have that. I think Jamie's interested in doing that as well. Again, this prerequisites for all level 1 and 2 we have to have in place in fire officer 1. So it's a good component to have. Certainly we would call it if it was something that was of interest to the municipality, or it was a fatal or serious injury, we'd be calling in the fire marshal's office, and hopefully they would attend. So that's something we're looking at. So these next slide, please. Sorry. These information sheets that I attached here speaks to interior exterior attack, and it gives, won't go through all the disciplines to it in the prerequisites, but I wanted council to see this in the report just to understand where we're going with this and the extent of the training that's had to been taking place to do this. So firefighter 1, as I say, will be always, when we bring recruits on, we'll be going through in firefighter level 2. So that'll be mandatory going forward for Central Frontenac. So I just wanted you to understand that the firefighter 1's the exterior attack, and level 2 is for interior and exterior attack. And then hazmat is something that's explained for MBCs, for motor vehicle collisions. Even putting the absorball down on the pavement, we've been told you have to have your hazmat accreditation. So it's become quite an issue with that. So with all these components that we have, sorry, and next slide is level 1 exterior attack. Yes, thank you. We are going to go through these, and I'll say also that with the exterior attack, if the firefighter is not wearing a mask or an SCBA, we have to make sure that they're not involved in the environment that's there with the smoke and health and safety issues. Step in the Ministry of Labor and Section 21 guidelines. So we have to make sure of that. The next slide, please. All right, level 2 interior attack. Again, I'm kind of repeating myself, but I want to identify what the details are. This fire suppression beyond the incipient stage. Interior search and rescues are involved, and all of that. So that's what the level 2 that we have to have that in place. So the early starts of the fire. Yeah. So when smoldering, small stage fire. Yeah. Yes, that's correct. Yes. So the JPRs, the job performance reviews, they talk about that in the level 2 interior attack. So the hazmat and technical rescue scope of work. So the reason I put this page in here is because it talks about operations and technician and the disciplines at the front. So not all these apply to us.
But some do. So hazmat will be one that will apply to us. We're at an awareness level, they call it. So operations level would bring you to that next stage where you're putting the absorbable on the ground and then you're going to get into the technician side. So that's something that we would probably call in Kingston or Ottawa with an agreement to do something for us in that area. Rope rescue, we do some of that. We don't do any rappelling. We don't get into any advanced rescue in that area. Confined space, I think we're going to have to look at that. We don't have that right now, but we probably will be looking at that. Trench rescue is very expensive, but it might be something that we may look at down the road. You would probably identify it with the number of incidents you've had in that situation that you would want to have those things. Structural collapse, we haven't had a lot of that. Swift water, ice water, and surface water, all those are ones that definitely we're going to have in place. And that's the 1006. So the certification to level 2 is they're giving us till 2024 to complete those, and 2026 for the technical rescue pieces. So the water, ice water, and swift water pieces will be there. So the next slide, the legacy. Thank you. Legacy application process. So this is sort of where the grandfathering was in a way, say 8-10 years ago. The fire marshal allowed for departments to go with a grandfathering clause with the NFPA standards. So what they did put it through knowledge or certification. So that it was up to the fire chief to identify whether they wanted to identify that their firefighters through knowledge were certified to level 1 or level 2, or they would have the certificates. They've actually done the courses. So a lot of the departments did jump on that right away. Unfortunately, we missed that. So a lot of other departments did as well. So then they came out with this legacy application process. Quite frankly, with the legacy application process, unless you have the documentation to support to send to the OFM and to begin with the courses, they won't honor the legacy. So it's really not beneficial. And there's a lot of talk about this not being very effective, but they're not stepping down from this one. They're holding fast on this. The OFM is. So really what it means that if you don't have that certificate or approval from AS&E, you're not going, the legacy won't look at it. So with our fellows and ladies getting the level 2 and then possibly getting into trainer facilitator, then we might possibly can do some of this legacy work if we have people that we think that can't make the level 2 courses or the fire officer course. So this is another flow chart. Next slide, please. Thank you. That shows the legacy application process. I won't go through it, but it can see if it's successful, you work your way down. If it's not, where you can try and reapply. And then, if it doesn't succeed, then you basically, the person has to reapply and go through the proper courses in level 1 and level 2. So that's sort of what everything in a nutshell there. So there's the different, next slide, please. The next piece is a hybrid levels of certification. So it just talks about if you have a composite department that's the full-time or fully certified, but the volunteers are not. Can they do the interior attack? No, because they only have level 1 or they don't have it yet. So then it would be up to the full-time firefighters to do that work. Mutual and automatic aid. This was a big issue for a lot of departments because there may be departments that you call in to assist that don't have their people certified to do interior attack. So then you're not supposed to call on them. Well, realistically, I can't see that working, but that's the way it's written. So what they're saying is you have to ensure that if you call in another department to do interior attack, that they are certified to these standards, the level 2 and everything else. Yes.
Just a question. Everybody's at the fire. It could go from external to internal like that. So you've got firefighters there. You called them for the exterior, and then I guess you just can't send them in, right? Is that how it would work?
That's the way that they've explained it to us. The only piece that they're looking at right now that I understand is that if you have somebody certified to the level 2. And they are supervising that person that's only got, say, level 1, that they will be allowed to go into the building with them. That yet remains to be seen if that comes through. So, but that's sort of where that's at. Next slide, please. So the learning certification options, I know I've spoken to this quite a bit over the last few months, but there's AS&E with the learning contract. You can go through that route with the OFC material, and the department delivers the material internally if you get a AS&E to approve the course. There's the assessment checklist. So you can have the fire department do its own material, again, third-party material, and then the AS&E would come in with an evaluator to oversee the program. And then they would do the proctoring on the exam. And then the OFC course, the third one is what we're doing now with third party. And the AS&E, the OFM brings in an evaluator in to do the exam. So that's what we're doing right now is the third option. And then the last page is what we're providing for service right now. I just thought everybody should know that that's where we're at. So we're just playing a bit of catch up right now. I think we're being very successful. And I mean, we were only 9 months into it. And I said, we've been pretty successful. There are some people that wanted to be on the course that couldn't make it for, obvious reasons, that they couldn't make the course. That we're planning to send those to another department that's going to be running the course. We're going to send them off to them.
Good.
So we'll make sure we're caught up.
Good. Questions or comments? Bill?
Madam Mayor, when our firefighters are fully trained, with all of the courses you're suggesting, are we running a chance that we're going to lose these firefighters to other departments because of the fact that they're very highly, trained and available to every fire department, might be looking for full-time paid firefighters? What are the options here? Do we not? We still have to train our people, but your opinion there.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Council McDonald. So I don't know, you're familiar with the old double header issue that there used to be around? So the unionized environment, full-time firefighters, the OPFFA, were not allowing full-time firefighters to work for volunteer departments. The Ford government got rid of that finally. That's been going on for years and years. So now you actually are seeing in some areas that full-time firefighters in communities such as our community that live here are coming in to say, I'm here to help you out, because they're mostly working at 7 days a month on the full-time schedule. So we're hoping that more people that move into the area that are full-time firefighters that will get that opportunity. So
they'll come in instead of
the
go out.
door's open, and they won't leave.
And we
Yeah.
have a couple.
Yeah. We do
Great.
have a couple right now that are full-time now. So, yeah,
Brent?
sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chris, obviously the fire master plan is being worked on, and I assume a component of it will be setting up a hierarchy in terms of, who reports to who and how many positions are here and there. Would I be right in assuming that a lot of these categories and classifications are going to be pegged to certain positions? So it naturally proves that if you are a frontline firefighter, you're going to have a minimum level of this. But if you're a captain, you're going to have this, and if you're a deputy, you're going to have this. So you're going to be putting these particular, I think what you have listed, that they're going to be penned in such way as to distribute across the fire department. Fair enough.
Yes, through Madam Mayor to Councilor Cameron. Yes, so we everybody has their special entity too, right? So there's people, we've got some excellent pump operators. We have people that are very good on the water, and so on and so forth. Incident command will usually be the senior ranking officer that's on the scene. If a higher ranking officer shows up, command may be transferred, or that higher ranking officer may be overseeing to make sure that there's any assistance needed in another area. So we will be, that will be separated up that way. But it's a good question. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Tom, and then Philip and Cindy, if you have questions.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question with regards to trench rescue. A month or so ago, there was a industrial accident in Toronto where I think 2 individuals succumbed to their injuries in that. Are you talking about that type of industrial rescue, like what was occurred there in Toronto, where you haven't, they were down 24 feet or something? That kind of interests me how you would train for that, but.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Dewey. Yes, so it's a trench rescue. That's exactly what it is it deals with shoring, what areas are safe to do and for an assessment of the trench and the collapse and what needs to be done. So all that training is fairly extensive, and I say it's also expensive because it takes a lot of materials, supplies, a lot of training to do trench rescue. So like I say, in our area, if I look at the risk and what's been identified in that area, I wouldn't say right now that that's a big area for us to be concerned with. If it does come to the point where we need to be prepared for that, then maybe we will, but we're not right now at looking at that.
Okay. Philip or Cindy, any questions or comments?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, if I may. I just wanted to say thank you for the information. That was good to understand all the certifications that are going to be required. I did have a question though. Once the firefighters are certified, is there retraining that needs to go along with that, or once you're certified, you're certified?
So Madam Mayor to Councillor Smith, sorry. The certification stays. And you are, but mind you, you still have to maintain your certification as far as keeping up with the regular training, and our bylaw speaks to 50% attendance at our trainings for our firefighters. So that is required. So.
Okay. So practice makes perfect.
Can I ask a
That's our
follow-up, Madam
motto.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Madam Mayor, if I could ask just a follow-up, I'm just curious
Sure.
If the training that we're doing, is that helping with recruitment, or how are you seeing recruitment going?
Yeah. Through you, Madam Mayor to Councillor Smith. Yeah, it seemed to spark some interest. I think Jamie could agree with that. We've had a lot more interest in what we're doing with the department, and the word's getting out there. I think that we're stepping up a notch and with our training. So I would say yes, for sure. It is. Yeah.
Good.
And actually tonight they're doing a SWAT exercise with our senior officers at Mountain Grove tonight. So what that involves is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and so they're going to hopefully have good comments for where we're at. And Chris Burke from Lumex is doing that tonight. So, and he talked to me today about setting up the one for the firefighters, probably in the next coming weeks.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read the motion, and then if there are any other questions. Moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Brent Cameron, that council received a firefighter certification presentation from the manager of emergency services / fire chief for information. Any further questions or comments? All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and please pass along the congratulations from this council to each and every one of those members that have put the effort into taking this certification for us and for our residents. We appreciate it. Yes. I have some. My fisherman's friends upside down. It helps a little. Okay, administration. We have a motion moved by Brent Cameron, seconded by Victor Hayes. The council approve in principle the recommendation of the CAO clerk to close the lane shown on Plan 130 between lots 13 and 14, Central Frontenac, as applied for by Paul Armstrong. And that we proceed to a public meeting to close the said road allowance before passing said bylaw. Questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion's carried.
I know where I know where that is. I know where those lanes are.
Okay. We have a motion moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Brent Cameron, that the minutes of the Quinte Conservation Authorities Board meeting held July 21st, 2022 be approved. That the minutes of the Quinte Conservation Authorities Board meeting held 2022 for information.
Board meeting should be July 21st, 2022.
Yeah,
For information.
for information.
Yeah.
Received is missing there.
Yes,
something.
received.
Okay, that the minutes received. Okay. Questions, comments, all those in favor? Motion's
Didn't
carried.
change those ones.
It doesn't take much to throw me off tonight. Moved by Brent Cameron, seconded by Victor Hayes, that the minutes of the Waste and Recycling Committee dated July the 6th, 2022 be received for information. All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Victor, seconded by Brent, that the minutes of the Kennebec Recreation Committee meeting held August 15th, 2022 be received for information. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Moved by Brent and seconded by Victor, that the minutes of the EOTA board meeting held July the 14th, 2022 be received for information. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Brent Cameron, that the midsummer report of the Sharbot Lake Farmers Market be received for information. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Brent Cameron, seconded by Victor Hayes, that council receive and file the following correspondence, and it's 1 to 5. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, we have a motion moved by moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Brent Cameron. Oh, wait, I better go here first. There's no public meetings, no bylaws, no notices of motions,
Correct?
any giving of notice of motions.
No, there's not.
Any new or other business,
No,
any closed session.
no.
Okay, moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Brent Cameron. That bylaw 2022-57 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular council meeting held September the 27th, 2022 be read a first, second, and third time. And finally passed this 27th day of September 2022. And for this meeting be adjourned until Tuesday, October the 11th, 2022. Said meeting to be held at the Soldiers Memorial Hall, Garrett Street, Sharbot Lake. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned at
Okay.
4:48.